Hey guys, I just want to talk with you for a minute today about the whole idea that reproduction itself is a negative thing, that nobody should be having babies if they're vegan or if they're smart or if they're environmentalists. And while I strongly agree that as vegans we should be doing what is best for the environment, I absolutely think that saying that people who want to reproduce are stupid across the board and that it's bad for the environment in itself is really a short-sighted thing to say. And I think it's one of these things that makes us all, as vegans, if everybody goes around saying this as a vegan, it makes us look, this is the type of thing that makes us look cultish and extremist.
So how about we all do the responsible thing and get a vasectomy to...
Sorry if I'm offending anyone, but having kids is really fucking selfish, because once you have so many kids that have no parents and you just want to make some more because you want to have kids that have your genes, then that's just fucking stupid. Sorry, not sorry. Rebecca.
With the mind control that goes on in this world, I think we really need to be careful about fad ideas like this and just accepting the idea that reproduction is in itself something that is very negative for the human race. Now, I can understand why people wouldn't want to bring a child into this world, and absolutely it is, your own choice. It is everybody's own choice. But I just want to look at this a little bit closer here. I really find it fascinating that so many vegans seem to be so anti-reproduction. We need to be careful what we just latch onto because we've heard or because somebody else says it. The problem is not with reproduction. The problem is not living and loving and creating babies. If you just tell me right out of the blue that reproduction is stupid, I'm going to just totally write you off. They're not just saying, oh, this is my choice, I'm not going to do this because. They're just basically flat out saying that anybody that reproduces is stupid. And first of all, it's insulting to people who have already made that choice to reproduce, to say it like that. But it's just not really, to me, it's not a well thought out statement. It's not having babies. You can't just say anybody who has a baby is stupid because you have no idea until after you get to know them if they're even contributing to, this animal agriculture, or if they even own a car, or if they're even part of the grid. People that are reproducing could be going off grid, creating their own energy, creating their own food, and that person, maybe doing more for the environment than you are, even by not reproducing, even though they're having babies. We can't just let the stupid people be the ones that breed, and the uneducated and the people who are, doing this to the world. If all the smart people, if all the vegans, if all the aware and educated people decide to stop breeding, then what's going to be left? It's going to be meat eaters, carnists, running around, people who can't afford birth control, the uneducated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's not going to be a world you want either. So, and you certainly don't want a world where, the government's making it illegal to reproduce, because that's just taking it too far. I mean, we're going into genocide, we're going into Hitler, we're going into forced sterilization, and none of that is an area that I even want to get close to, which is why I don't identify with this movement of anti-reproduction. In my opinion, this is a large part of what they are trying to do. When you have things like the measles that really don't kill anybody if you have enough nutrients, then what they should be doing is feeding the starving children in the world instead of going in and poking them in the arm with vaccines that really have to do with big pharma. So, yeah, I don't trust them. By 2050, the world is going to have 9 billion people. That's if population growth slows in much of the developing world. So it could be, more than that. So, I get where people are coming from. 1 billion people are already starving, and there's deforestation and all of that. But telling people that they can't have babies is not going to be part of the solution. In fact, that just doesn't help. I mean, look into the past, look at what China's tried to do. All it does is create more death when people kill the babies. So the problem is, how we're going about taking care of the people. The problem is not the actual birthing of babies and breathing of the air. It's how we're feeding them. So instead of bitching and complaining and chastising people for having babies, why don't we push those efforts into changing the agriculture and making sure people are aware of the environmental aspects and the environmental devastation that we're facing. I mean, that's the number one thing. People want to, push the ethics. People want to push the ethics, but guess what? And again, so many vegans are judging other vegans by going at it for the health reasons. Well, I tell you, one of the only reasons I go about it for the health reasons is I know that is what people that I know are like obsessed with. If you're going for the animals can't live without a good environment either. So for me, environmentalism is the absolute number one issue. So, people think, oh, there's not enough land. Science can work this stuff out if we try. You know what I mean? It's not the actual fact that there's not enough room, because there is. There really, really is. It leads other people, the whole idea leads other people to start proposing, like I said, the solutions like the Chinese had, like a governmental mandate to prohibit families from having more than one child. So, again, I think first of all, it's not really realistic. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy, and it's a distraction from the real issues. If you really believe veganism is the answer, then you should be focusing on veganism is the answer and not stopping having children. It's just ridiculous. Having children is what makes us human. It's what, it's such a spiritual idea. People or thing to do, people who haven't had kids can't even understand what a spiritual idea it was. And it's too far. It's going too far to tell people how they need to live. It's a person, and people might say, oh, it's a personal choice, but everybody thinks that eating meat is a personal choice too. Yeah, but meat is actually hurting the environment, and having more kids is not necessarily hurting the environment whatsoever. And again, with more and more people, building tiny homes and everything like that, you just can't, there's really no argument that can prove that. And the thing that I don't get is, like, Vegan Gains himself is pretty sure that the world is going to eventually go vegan, if not by choice, then just by science and technology. So therefore, like, a lot of the, environmental destruction would be eliminated at that point. So how could you have such a hopeful outlook on one hand and have such a shitty outlook on the other hand? Farms already grow enough food for every single person on earth to have 2,800 calories a day if it was divvied up equally, but we just can't share them. So, in my opinion, it would be better to, go around and focus on throwing all the 1%ers in jail, or taxing all the 1%ers, or something like that, so that it's a more realistic idea rather than just saying, oh, let's stop reproducing, because it's not the main point. It's not the issue. People are hungry because the calories that are used to feed, that should be used to feed humans, are going to feed all these extra animals. So world hunger is going to go down by a lot if we would just get rid of eating animals. If you're going to do anything, focus on that and shut up about everything else, because you're just making yourself more and more untrustworthy to everyone else. According to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, most people live in countries that have food surpluses rather than deficits. So we need to get rid of the greed, not the love.